Chapter 1300. Tang Jiming's wife said that it was dangerous for her parents to undergo surgery at such an old age. They might as well enjoy their old age. Tang Jiming thought that was reasonable. He brought the two of them home just like that, but they did not enjoy their old age. They still had to do housework and cook. When they really could not get out of bed and the doctor diagnosed that they would not live for more than half a month, Mengmeng's mother came to their bedside. Liu Chunyu, you have such a day. You. Third sister-in-law, why are you here? He, you're about to die. Of course I have to come. I'll tell you the truth. Mengmeng's mother did not hesitate at all. She leaned close to Liu Chunyu and said, do you know that your precious grandson is not your Jiming's? When that girl got married, she was already pregnant. She couldn't find another family and didn't want to abort the child, right? So your Jiming will take over. After saying that, Mengmeng's mother left. Was Liu Chuanyue's precious son, Tang Jiming, comfortable with this cuckold? Liu Chunyu was angered to death. Not long after, Tang Liping also died. This time, Tang Guo, Tang Li, and Song Jinghua all came to attend the funeral. Not long after this incident, Tang Guo heard that Tang Jiming had gotten a divorce. He was coaxed by that woman into signing the property transfer agreement. Then, he was kicked out of the house by that woman and reduced to a beggar with a broken leg. Everyone in the family knew, but no one helped him. Song Jinghua and Tang Li also heard about this. She said, Xiao Guo told me that Jiming was not beaten up because of her, but because he offended the bully in the class next door. The bully knew that Xiao Guo was his cousin, so he found trouble with Xiao Guo. In the end, he saw him and hit him. Got it. Tang Li closed his eyes. It's pretty good here. Don't go out. Okay. Song Jinghua said, previously, my mother called me and cried. She said that third brother coaxed her money to buy a house for his son. Now, he's ordering her around like an old mother. She said that she never thought of a good day. What did Jinghua say? Song Jinghua smiled and said, Mom, no matter what, third brother is your favorite son. Who else can you rely on if not him? Haven't you always treasured third brother? Isn't it good to help third brother with some housework? Anyway, you're already 70 or 80 years old. Your body is still very strong. My mom said that daughters are the best. Song Jinghua couldn't help but laugh. I say, no matter how good a daughter is, she's still married. It's hard to take back what's spilled. Jinghua, our daughter is very good. I know, we let her down. So, stay here and don't cause trouble for her. Yes. So, for the past 10 years or so, I've never cared about my mother's affairs. It's not like you didn't care about your family's affairs either, right? The two of them held hands and sat in the courtyard of the nursing home. They looked at the tourists who were climbing the mountain in the distance. This place is pretty good. It's just missing something. Song Jinghua lowered her head with tears in her eyes. Tang Guo had a panoramic view of all these things. Host, these people actually forced themselves into a dead end. They're really amazing. Because the two spendthrifts in my family are a little stupid. The others are not easy to bully. If they get into a fight, won't both sides suffer? It was said that the men of the Yuan family were good and only treated their women as treasures. Tang Guo's husband and wife of the same age were all hoping that the two of them could have a little boy and marry their daughter to the little boy in the future. However, more than 10 years had passed. Tang Guo was already in her 30s, but she still didn't have a child. Fupin Chinese Vertex. Chapter 1301. Others asked Yuan Shuo why he didn't plan to have a child. Yuan Shuo said, Xiao Guo is enough. I'm afraid I won't be able to take good care of her if I have another child. Also, I finally know why my father always liked to beat me when I was young. Maybe I'm the unexpected trouble that shocked him. This sentence fully showed how much Yuan Shuo loved his wife. He didn't even want them to have another child. Yuan Shuo and Tang Guo held hands and strolled in the square. She smiled and asked, Brother Shuo, are we living old life in advance? Isn't it good? We can be together every day. I don't want to be so busy that I don't have time to accompany you because of the company. So, you're trying your best to enslave your employees? I have a salary and a bonus if I do well. As the two of them were talking, a woman ran towards them. Seeing that she was about to bump into Tang Guo, Yuan Shuo pulled Tang Guo and quickly moved to the side. Seeing that she almost bumped into them, the woman quickly walked over and apologized. I'm sorry, I almost bumped into you. Are you okay? I'm fine. Cece. A man caught up with her. Cece, don't be angry. It's all my fault. The next time I go to your house, I'll definitely endure it and not make your parents angry, okay? I just feel sorry for you. Hearing what they said, I feel bad. System, host, it's the male and female lead. Are they married? Yes, but their family relationship doesn't seem to be handled well. Maro Siyuan's mother often pretends to be pitiful in front of her. There's still a lot to be said. Lu Qian also saw that Maro Siyuan had almost bumped into the two of them. He pulled Maro Siyuan behind him and quickly apologized to the two of them. I'm sorry, I almost bumped into you. I apologize on behalf of Cece. It's okay. Tang Guo smiled and said, why? Did the couple have a conflict? It's just a small matter. Lu Qian smiled and said, I'll just listen to her in the future. I won't make her angry anymore. I'll endure it. Tears welled up in Maro Siyuan's eyes, but he didn't break free from Lu Qian's grip. Tang Guo giggled as she hugged Yuan Shuo's waist and said, Brother Shuo, there are still many good men in this world. Look, right? That's right. When two people are together, the most important thing is to understand each other and live happily together. If you're happy, I'm happy too. Yeah, Brother Shuo and I are the ones who have lived together for our entire lives. We need to understand each other. Don't misunderstand because of some small things. For example, our family, in-laws, no matter what happens, we can't affect our little family. Yuan Shuo seemed to understand something and quickly nodded. Xiao Guo is right. If the parents of the two families are open-minded and nice, you should interact more. If the parents of the two families are harsh, you should stay away from them. Don't be soft-hearted. If my parents dare to bully you, I won't let it go. I won't let my parents bully Xiao Guo either, but they really like Xiao Guo. Brother Shuo, let's go. Let's take the Ferris wheel and buy me some ice cream first. Okay. Tang Guo held Yuan Shuo's hand and left. Maro Siyuan looked at their backs thoughtfully. Cece, I won't make you angry in the future, okay? Maro Siyuan looked at the humble Lu Qian and suddenly cried. You know that my mother is not good and it's not your fault. Why did you apologize? Because I love you, Cece. I can't lose you. Maro Siyuan hugged Lu Qian and cried loudly. Lu Qian, I'll treat you better in the future. Don't go back to your family so often. I'm also afraid of losing you. When Tang Guo opened her eyes, she was on a rock by the sea. She looked at the waving golden fish tail in the water and was stunned for a moment. It looks like it's growing on my body. Host, it's your tail. You have a tail. Baojio, Nu, Nob, 01C, Quick Wear, Supporting Female Lead, Calm Down Clawbook Room 01D, Gu, Nu, Excerpt Nu, Time 305, Read 02, Peak. Chapter 1302. Tang Guo leaned against the rock and swung her new tail, constantly stirring up the water in the sea. She muttered, Mermaid, it's actually a mermaid this time. This golden tail is quite pretty. Tang Guo looked at the golden tail in the sea. She could also see her own appearance through the reflection of the sea. She had long golden curls and looked like a doll. She still had the face of an Eastern beauty. It was just that the color was a little different. A combination of Chinese and Western mermaids. System, he didn't know what to say, but the host had never transmigrated into a mermaid before. She probably thought it was fun. When the host had played enough, they would come back to see the plot. After half an hour, Tang Guo had played enough and received the plot of this world. It was a very cliché story. A mermaid with a golden tail fished up a young man by the sea. In the end, the young man mistook her for his savior and got together with another mermaid, causing the golden mermaid to die in the end. 1 ton and 1 ti. Her identity this time was the third princess of the Mermaid King. Her name was Guo, a somewhat familiar name. Above her, There was an older brother who also had a golden tail, Archie, and an older sister named Fuya. She didn't have a golden tail, only a blue one. Fuya and she didn't have the same mother, but were born of one of her father's lovers. There were very few members of the mermaid clan. The most precious was the golden tail, followed by the silver tail, and the third was the blue tail. The other colors were not very rare, and their divine power was particularly weak. Therefore, Fuya's arrival still made the entire mermaid clan happy, and they didn't dislike her. One day, a group of rich young masters were playing on the sea in a speedboat. Unexpectedly, there was a storm and fierce waves appeared, overturning the speedboat. The others were found not long after. Only a young man named Qiao Chen was hit by the waves and was directly swept far away. The place where Tangguo was now was the place where Qiao Chen would be swept to in a few days. Qiao Chen was swept to the rock where Arguagua usually came. In the end, he was saved by Arguagua. Arguagua knew that he was a human, so she sent him to a human place. Hiding in the sea and waiting for him to be taken away, it would swim away happily. In his daze, Qiao Chen actually felt that someone had saved him. In a trance, he opened his eyes and saw a beautiful mermaid with a blue head and a golden tail jumping into the sea. Arguagua had a golden head and a golden tail. As for why she had turned blue, it was because she thought it was fun. That day, she had used dye from the bottom of the sea to dye her tail and head blue. After Qiao Chen recovered, he had always wanted to find the blue mermaid who saved him. Freya knew that Arguagua had saved a human because Arguagua always liked to share stories about the coast with her. One day, she saw a handsome young man looking for something by the sea. She heard the young man mutter, "My little mermaid, where are you?" His voice was full of affection. What an infatuated young man. At that moment, Fuya fell in love with him. She appeared in front of the young man and asked him who he was missing. The young man grabbed her hand and said, "Little mermaid, I've finally found you. Come home with me." Just like that, Fu Ya and Qiao Chen fell in love. He brought Fu Ya to his school. Fupin Chinese Vertex. Chapter 1303. Later, Arguagua was curious about human schools and wanted to go to class. She didn't expect to meet Fuya and Qiao Chen. When she saw Qiao Chen, she was very happy to go up to him. She didn't expect Qiao Chen to be so cold to her that he didn't even give her a chance to speak. She really didn't have any other intentions. She just wanted to recognize this human she had saved. Fuya was afraid that her impersonation as Arguagua would be exposed, so she told Qiao Chen that Arguagua was the same as her, and that she was a mermaid full of lies. Therefore, no matter what Arguagua said after that, Qiao Chen was unwilling to believe it. Because Arguagua was not familiar with humans and had Qiao Chen's special care, her life was especially difficult. But she still wanted to explain clearly, but Fuya and Qiao Chen both thought that this mermaid was trying to seduce him. Qiao Chen hated her even more. When Arguagua saw Qiao Chen, she would say that she was the one who saved him before. He never trusted people and thought that this ugly mermaid was trying to seduce him. Fuya was especially afraid of being exposed. She was absent-minded all day and lost a lot of weight. Qiao Chen couldn't stand it anymore. He thought that Arguagua's existence made his little mermaid sad. So he asked Fuya about the mermaid's weakness. Originally, these things were secrets in the mermaid clan, and they were not allowed to tell humans. But Fuya really liked Qiao Chen too much, so she told him. The secret of the mermaids was that if they didn't come into contact with water for a long time, they would die of thirst. The higher the level of the mermaid, the stronger the divine power, and the longer they would last. In order to prevent future trouble, Qiao Chen expressed his willingness to listen to Arguagua's explanation and took her to a place without water. According to Fuya's weakness, he first stayed with Arguagua in that place for 3 or 4 days. After seeing Arguagua's pale face, he locked her up in a tree. Then, he left. By the time the Mermaid King found Arguagua, she was already dead. Her golden tail had lost its luster. The Mermaid King was furious. He wanted to find the murderer and even asked Fuya. Fuya had already guessed who killed Arguagua. But she really loved Qiao Chen, so she hid this matter. In the end, the murderer was not found, and this matter was over. Freya and Xiao Chen got married and she stayed in the human world forever. Host, as far as I know, this is a magical world. The mermaid clan isn't the only mermaid clan in the sea. There are also other clans. They especially like to come ashore to play. Maybe someone who looks normal in the crowd is a member of the Sea Clan. That's pretty fun. After reading the plot, Tangwa didn't feel anything. Well, we won't follow the plot this time. Host, what do you mean? I don't want to save that Xiao Chen. Just drown him. Chapter 1304. She liked this tail a little. When she walked ashore, the tail would automatically turn into a pair of straight, snow-white legs. The merfolk here were not the merfolk of Western legends. After the tail turned into legs, walking would not hurt, similar to human legs. However, she needed to soak her legs regularly. Otherwise, she would be too dehydrated and her tail would be exposed. With her level and divine power, she could last for a week without water. If she grew a little more, the stronger her divine power, the longer she could last. The king of the merfolk clan, who was also her father, could persist for a year without water. As for Fuya, a mermaid with a blue tail, she could last for a day or two and needed water. Tongzi, find me a few containers with more space to hold water. Understood, host, right away. The system chose a container with a large space and filled it with seawater. The host would definitely go to the human world to play, so how could she not prepare water? Merfolk were usually very powerful, but once they were dehydrated, they would really be fish meat, at the mercy of others. Although she did not save Xiao Chen, she still went to that place on the day of the thunderstorm. But this time, she secretly hid in the sea and secretly observed the surrounding situation. System, I don't understand. He was a little curious whether that guy would follow her to this world. Let's cross over and accompany the host in this world and live happily for a lifetime. She was too lonely. He was just a string of data and could never compare to humans. He remembered that he had not yet told the people in the group that he was safe, so he told them about the merfolk world in Tangwa's tone. He did not expect that these enthusiastic group members would actually give his host a lot of useful red packets. He felt that if he could meet these people again in the future, it would be great. These people should be the host's good friends. Their lifespans were very long, and most of them could live forever. Even those in the interstellar could live for thousands of years. There was a heavy rain on the sea, and any small boat would be overturned by the strong winds and waves at this time. It was not until late at night that Tangwa finally saw a person holding a piece of driftwood and being washed onto a rock. She glanced at the pale-faced young man on the rock. Especially when she saw the torrential rain hitting his body, she was in a wonderful mood. She was not going to save this fish murderer. She watched the rain for the whole night. In the middle of the night, the rain stopped. In the morning, the sun rose high in the sky. Tangwa looked at the young man whose face was red from the rain and sneered. She swung her golden tail and swam to the bottom of the sea. The system glanced at the young man. He would probably burn to death in such a place. Serves you right. The murderer of the fish was indeed not worth saving. He deserved it. It would be best if he was swept away by the waves and drowned. He felt that Xiao Chen would not survive. Tangwa returned to her palace and took out the gifts from her friends in the group yesterday. Many of them were treasures that could be used in the sea, and there were beautiful dresses that were especially suitable for standing in the sea. When Ziyun heard that she had turned into a mermaid this time, he specially refined a medicinal pill for her so that she could quickly increase her divine power. There were also some spare medicinal pills. In short, they were all good for the merfolk. It's not bad to have a few friends who miss you. Yes, they are all good people. Ziyun and the others are doing very well in the celestial world now. The system agreed. Fupin Chinese Vertex. Chapter 1305. The next day, Tangwa saw Fuya in a blue dress. When Fuya saw her, she hurriedly came over and pulled her to talk. Agwugwa, I'll tell you a secret. What secret? Tangwa asked curiously. Fuya had a mysterious look on her face. She leaned close to her ear and whispered, Yesterday, I went ashore to play. It was the place you often go. I actually saw a good-looking human, but he seemed to be sick. Tang Guo. No way. System, that's a bit of a coincidence. And then? Tang Guo asked. Freya wagged her blue tail happily and said, I brought him ashore and even found some medicine to feed him. However, this human's temper is not very good. After waking up, he glanced at me and ran away. It's really strange. I don't know if he was frightened by me. Maybe humans can't accept merfolk. After all, I was so engrossed in looking at his face that day that I did forget to keep my tail. Tang Guo saw Fuya's blushing face and asked in a low voice, Do you like this human? Yes, Fuya's lips curled into a happy smile. I like this human. I liked him from the first time I saw him. So, I've decided to go to the human world to find him. Humans and mermaids are different, Fuya. I've read a book before. It says that love has no boundaries. It doesn't limit gender, age, or race. Fuya seemed to be possessed. Her mind was full of that good-looking young man. That day, he must have been frightened by me and left in a hurry. I'm going to appear in front of him with a new face. He will definitely change his view of me. Tang Guo had captured the information before. Xiao Chen's reaction seemed to be a little strange. Okay, Guo, I won't talk to you anymore. I'm going to tell father and mother about this. I must go to the human world to find my human prince. Fuya wagged her blue tail and went to find the merfolk king. Tang Guo did not stop her. She had already guessed that the problem should lie with Xiao Chen. Then, was Xiao Chen reborn, or was he transmigrated? If it was exposed, then she would not care about it. If he was reborn, he would have to settle this score properly. Being reborn meant that Xiao Chen was the real murderer. There was no need to give him a chance to go back on his word. Because he had already done something wrong. As for Fuya, she wouldn't stop her if she insisted on crashing into him. The original owner didn't want to snatch Xiao Chen away, she just wanted to prove one thing. But because of Fuya's selfishness, she finally told Xiao Chen the secret of the mermaids, causing the original owner to die in Xiao Chen's hands. Therefore, Freya was also a helper. If she had to run into Xiao Chen's hands, Xiao Chen was reborn and even knew the person who really saved him back then. Then he absolutely loathed Freya. Well, as for the outcome, it would depend on what kind of intense sparks Xiao Chen and Fu Yue could create. Let them love and kill each other. System, this bad woman. Where's that man? Why aren't you coming to deal with her? When Fuya told the merfolk king that she wanted to go to the human world, she was not stopped. In fact, the merfolk king encouraged the mermaids to live in the human world and understand human habits and life. After getting permission, he only told Fuya to pay attention to her safety and not to trust humans casually. If anything dangerous happened, remember to call the merfolk members. Fupin Chinese Vertex. Or, did they abandon the aging people midway? It sounded like a scumbag. Father, your way of thinking is really special. Then I want to ask, did you leave any bloodline in the human world? She saw with her own eyes that the mermaid king's face twitched, and then he said, mermaids with golden tails will not produce bloodlines when they mate with humans. Most of the human bloodlines are too low level. His bloodline was too weak. He was really full of disdain. Guo, if you want to have your own bloodline in the future, you have to find someone with a noble bloodline. Even so, the chances of you having it are still very small. Father, what if I don't want a bloodline? Chapter 1307. Guo is a noble mermaid with a golden tail. She should live happily. Leave the continuation of the bloodline to your brother Archie. He likes many beautiful women, so he shouldn't refuse. System, host, your father. He really is your father. Sons are used to continue the bloodline, daughters are used to be doted on. In the future, he will be a fan of the merfolk king. Tang Guo really didn't expect the merfolk king to think like this. Seeing the other party's loving eyes, she somewhat understood that the merfolk king really loved his daughter. Remembering the final ending of the original story, the merfolk king didn't give up looking for Guo's murderer. Unfortunately, There was a traitor in the merfolk who sided with humans. With a merfolk helping to hide the truth, who would have thought that the murderer was actually the person Fuya liked, Qiao Chen? Agwugwa, if you want to go to the human world at any time, you can come to father. I will help you arrange everything. At your age, you can go to school in the human world first. Father, why don't you help Fuya arrange for school? Fuya is not going to the human world to broaden her horizons. I guess she might have fallen in love with a human and intends to find that human. The merfolk value love and enjoy love, so of course I won't interfere. When the person she likes grows old, she will return to the merfolk system. Such an open-minded parent is really rare. If Agwugwa falls in love with a human one day, don't worry, just protect yourself. Don't expose your weakness in front of humans, no one. The merfolk's weakness was that they were afraid of water shortage, but if they didn't know how many days they could really go without water, humans would have no way to deal with them. The reason Agwugwa died at that time was because Fuya told Qiao Chen how many days Agwugwa could go without water at that time. Qiao Chen calculated the time so that Agwugwa couldn't resist. Otherwise, he wouldn't have patiently accompanied her for several days, waiting until she couldn't use her divine power due to lack of water before finally revealing her true face. Don't worry, father, I won't be so stupid as to expose my weakness to a human with a low-level bloodline. System. The host is able to get up again. A human with a low-grade bloodline? Is she talking about herself? The Mermaid King was relieved. He was very satisfied that there was such a sensible and obedient little mermaid in his bloodline. She was the smartest little princess of the mermaid clan. As for Tang Guo, she went to play in the sea. She planned to go to the human world after she had enough fun. Since there was something wrong with Qiao Chen, she would wait for Fuya and Qiao Chen to develop something before she went. Anyway, she didn't want to have anything to do with Qiao Chen, the murderer of the fish. It would be best if the man and fish could kill each other. Host, aren't you going to look for your cutie? What's there to look for? If we're fated to meet, we'll meet. If we don't, then there's no fate. Also, before we meet, he might not belong to my family. Whether he belongs to my family or not depends on the situation. If he is someone who has bullied me, my enemy, or even the natural enemy of the mermaid clan, then I can't have him. System. TSK, that man is so pitiful. He had met such a heartless woman. But this scumbag, if she likes someone, she will only be good to that person. Who can escape? Chapter 1308. While Tang Guo was having fun in the sea, Fuya had already arrived in the human world. After much effort, she finally found Qiao Chen. She successfully went to school at Qiao Chen's school and became a high school student. Qiao Chen was the school hunk. After Fuya entered this school, all the boys in the school were shocked by her appearance. Soon, she became the school belle and was worshipped as the goddess in the hearts of countless boys. Fuya's love for Qiao Chen was undisguised. Everyone in the school knew that the person she liked was Qiao Chen. Although their hearts were broken, the person their goddess liked was equally outstanding. They could only choose to give their blessings. Fuya was very generous and made many friends. They were all helping her with ideas on how to gain the favor of Qiao Chen. Qiao Chen seemed to be very busy and didn't pay much attention to Fuya. Every day after school, he would leave in a hurry and warn Fuya not to follow him. Fuya really didn't dare to follow him. She didn't know that Qiao Chen went to the seaside every day after school. He stood by the seaside and looked at the vast sea. He muttered, "Little golden mermaid, where are you? Why aren't you here yet? I'm waiting for you to come, my little mermaid. This time, I will definitely believe what you say. I won't believe Fuya anymore. I'm sorry, I won't hurt you again." Qiao Chen was reborn. In his previous life, he and Fuya had lived a loving life. He only had less than 100 years to live. With the help of Fuya's divine power, he only lived to be in his 90s. Before he died, he felt that his life was perfect. Because he had no regrets in this life. Unexpectedly, Fuya told him the truth at the end, saying that the person who saved him was not her, but the mermaid with a golden tail, Agwugwa. Rather than saying that he died of old age, It was better to say that he was angered to death by this truth. He held on to his last breath and asked, Fuya, why did you lie to me? Qiao Chen, I like you because I love you too much. Even if you're old now, I still love you. I feel helpless and powerless towards your life that is about to end. If possible, I'm willing to share my life with you. Qiao Chen, I just don't dare to tell you the truth because I like you too much. After hearing this, he died. He died with boundless regret and regret. He died with his eyes wide open. Therefore, the one who really saved him was the beautiful little mermaid with a golden tail, not Freya. Back then, she had tried to explain herself countless times, but he had never listened. He even thought that she only wanted to ruin his relationship with Freya. He only felt disgust for her. In the end, because he thought that Freya's sadness was because of the lying, hypocritical, and vicious mermaid, he also got Guoguo's weakness from Freya's mouth. He tricked her into going to a deserted mountain without water and pretended to listen to her explanation. 3 or 4 days later, due to the lack of water, her divine power was weak and she couldn't use it, so she was chained to the tree trunk. Then, he left. In the end, of course, she died of thirst. At that time, he thought that at least no one would come to ruin his relationship with Freya. In the past, he had been so decisive in leaving her on that deserted mountain and chaining her to the tree trunk. Now, he regretted doing such a thing. In the past, he had been so pleased with his actions. Now, when he thought of all the things in his previous life, he was so heartbroken. Fupin Chinese Vertex. No, Madam Host, half of the stupid things he did in his previous life were because of Fu Ya. He should hate Fu Ya, and it's possible that he killed Fu Ya. So what if you kill him for me to see? Nothing much. Does the host not intend to intervene? Why should I interfere? Let them love and kill each other. Neither of them are good people. They're both murderers. Tang Guo sneered. In this life, the one who saved Qiao Chen was Fu Ya. Do you really think that you can make up for everything by being reborn? No, it can't. Yes, it couldn't be made up for. What happened had already happened. What's more, the host was no longer the original A Guogua. Fupin Chinese Vertex. Chapter 1310. If Qiao Chen really wanted to kill Fuya, then it would really be a joke. At this time, Tang Guo had already arrived in the human world with the entourage that the Merfolk King had sent to her. With the wealth of the Merfolk, they could easily mix well in the human world. The Merfolk King also had a lot of property in the human world. When he heard that Tang Guo wanted to go to the human world, he let her come the next day. She was now living in a villa under the Merfolk King's name, and her entourage had already gone to apply for an admission certificate. It should be able to go to school in a day or two. Tang Guo sat in front of the mirror. Her originally golden hair had turned black. As long as she condensed her divine power, she could maintain her black hair. If her divine power became weak due to lack of water, then her hair might return to its original golden color. 1 ton and 1 ti when she went to school, she would still be in high school. No one would think that she was born with an Eastern face and golden hair. She would probably be dragged to the dye shop by the teacher on the same day and have her hair dyed back. Even Freya's blue hair had to be changed to black using divine power before she was able to enter the school. There was a manual for walking in the human world among the Merfolk. This was a compulsory course for the Merfolk. Everyone knew what to do and what not to do in the human world. Host, your father is really keeping up with the times. No wonder there are so many Merfolk in this world. It doesn't seem like they are going extinct at all. Instead of preventing the Merfolk from being curious about humans and being afraid of being hurt, it is better to directly teach the Merfolk how to deal with humans and understand their lives. He is an excellent Merfolk king. The Merfolk have an unlimited lifespan. He is right. Even if they fall in love with humans for a mere 100 years, what effect will it have? Tang Guo laughed. Yes, he can't wait for the Merfolk to go out and spread their bloodline throughout the human world. However, only ordinary Merfolk and humans will have a 100% chance of having a bloodline. It is very difficult for those of a slightly higher level to have a bloodline. He is casting a wide net. What if he hits the jackpot? System, what a joke. This merfolk king is a clever fish. Host, your father is really farsighted. Looking at the current situation, we still don't know how many mermaids have mingled in the human world. There are also some descendants of mermaids and humans who can live in the water but don't have the characteristics of mermaids. This is the manifestation of evolution. They actually have a great advantage living in the human world. If it wasn't for that, would we be able to live in a big villa now? I heard that one of our members' bloodline is the mayor of a certain city. A few years ago, during the Seabed Conference, he wore a suit and was dragged by many members of the Sea Clan to be their son-in-law and marry their daughter. I remember that there were people from the crab race, the shark race, the shell race. Anyway, there were many of them. Oh, there was also a girl from the sea turtle race. They all chased after him to the shore. System, fut, nowadays, people don't care about race when they get married. On the third day, Tangwa appeared in a high school wearing a simple and youthful dress. Now, she was standing on the podium of Grade 2 Class 1 with a smile on her face. The homeroom teacher interrupted the noisy students and said, "This is a new transfer student from our class. New student, why don't you introduce yourself to your classmates?" Fupin Chinese Vertex. Chapter 13:11. Tangwa nodded. "Hello, everyone. My name is Agwagwa." There were many strange names in school and everyone was used to it. All their gazes were now attracted by this beautiful girl. They remembered that last semester, a very beautiful girl came to their school. She was now the number 1 school belle of their school. Unexpectedly, there was also one in their class. She seemed to be even more beautiful than the number 1 school belle, Fuya. As soon as Tangwa came to class, the entire school knew that a very beautiful girl had come to Grade 1 Class 2. It was because someone had secretly posted Tangwa's photo on the campus forum during class. After the next few classes, students would come to this class and secretly look at Tangwa. After looking at her, they would leave in satisfaction and begin to whisper in private. "Fuya, your position as the number 1 school belle may not be guaranteed." Fuya was folding 1,000 paper cranes. This was relatively popular among humans. It was said that she could fold 999 paper cranes and give them to the person she liked so that the other party could see her sincerity. Hearing her deskmate's words, she was still seriously folding the paper cranes and did not look up. Did something happen? Fuya didn't care about this. Humans always made a fuss about nothing. In the mermaid clan, with her appearance, she was not ranked first. There were still many blue-tailed mermaids in the mermaid clan, and many of them were better looking than her. Not to mention the silver-tailed mermaids who were of a higher level than her, the golden-tailed mermaids were definitely better looking than the low-level mermaids. A very beautiful girl came to Grade 1 Class 2. Now there are many boys in the school supporting her. It is said that those who have seen her in person all think that she is better looking than Fuya. Sigh, Fuya, why don't you have any reaction at all? She's good looking, so what? It has nothing to do with me. As long as she doesn't snatch Qiao Chen from me, she can do anything. Qiao Chen, Qiao Chen, Qiao Chen, you only have eyes for Qiao Chen. Now you can't even keep your position. No matter what her deskmate said, Fuya didn't care. She came to the bustling human world for Qiao Chen, not to compete with humans in terms of beauty. Humans were different from the mermaid clan. There were many beautiful ones and even more ugly ones. But their mermaid clan basically did not have any mermaids that were too ugly. There was no sense of accomplishment in comparing beauty in the human world. At the same time, Qiao Chen, who was sitting in his seat, heard his classmates talking about the new transfer student in Grade 1 Class 2. Everyone said that she was a beautiful girl, but he didn't care. That was definitely not his little mermaid. If his little mermaid came to this school, she would be in Fuya's class, which was Year 2 Class 1. Only his little mermaid could attract his attention. Other girls, no matter how beautiful they were, had nothing to do with him. Qiao Chen, quick, take a look. The new girl in Year 1 is out in high definition. Wow, she's really prettier than Fuya. She'll definitely be the school belle this year. Xiao Chen had no intention of looking up, so his deskmate had no choice but to hand the phone over. Xiao Chen, give me some face. Look, isn't she beautiful? Don't you dislike Fuya? Take a look at this. What if she's suitable? Alright, Pei Jiang, take a look for yourself. If you like her, go after her yourself. I'm not interested in any. He wasn't interested in any girl. Before he could finish his sentence, he inadvertently glanced at the phone screen and was stunned. Fupin Chinese Vertex. Chapter 13:12. Wasn't the beautiful girl with a sweet smile the little mermaid that he had been waiting for? He had always remembered how she looked like. Since his rebirth, he was afraid that he would forget her. He recalled her every day and even secretly drew her. She was here. Although she wasn't in Fu Ya's class, it was good that she was here. Xiao Chen stood up and pushed Pei Jiang away. Hey, Xiao Chen, where are you going? What's the rush? I've never seen you so anxious. Something. Pei Jiang shook his head and glanced at the little beauty on the phone screen. He admired her silently. This girl is really beautiful. She must be this year's top campus belle. He leaned on the table behind him and knocked over the pile of books behind him. Because he was admiring the beauty, he didn't notice that he had disturbed the person behind him. Suddenly, he felt a cold gaze fall on his back. He immediately realized who was sitting behind him. He quickly turned around and saw a cold face with a pair of sharp eyes. He was so scared that his heart almost jumped out. That, top student, I'm sorry. I didn't do it on purpose, top student Yin Yao. I really didn't do it on purpose. Pei Jiang put away his phone and quickly helped Yin Yao tidy up the books that had fallen down. I'll help you tidy them up, okay? Now, do you think it's okay? Pei Jiang smiled. This guy couldn't be provoked. He was the weirdest guy in their class. He only knew how to read, and he read math books. He almost flipped through the math books. This guy was also the top campus hunk in the school and had a lot of supporters. Compared to Xiao Chen, this guy was the one who was really unreasonable. Back then, many girls had confessed to him. Did you know how he rejected them? Pei Jiang could still recall the scene back then. That day, the university bully, Yin Yao, was wearing a fresh white shirt. He stood under the sun and attracted the attention of countless girls. A very beautiful girl finally mustered up her courage and came in front of Yin Yao. She blushed and said, Senior Yin Yao, I really like you. Can you give me a chance? No. Yin Yao refused coldly. He didn't even look at the girl. The girl's face was pale. As a bystander, he felt pity for her and wanted to comfort her. He secretly scolded Yin Yao for being unromantic. Why? Can you give me a reason? Senior Yin Yao? Yin Yao glanced at her with disdain. His voice was cold and noble. You're too low class. Yes, that's right, that's the reason this guy gave. Senior, you, a lowly human like you is not worthy to stand beside me. My rank is high, and my bloodline is also very noble. That's right, this was also what the tyrant of Yin Yao University had said. Of course, the most important thing is that there's nothing about you that attracts me. Perhaps you're still too low level to resonate with me. The girl widened her eyes and almost fainted from shame. Give up. Yin Yao suggested kindly, go find a human with the same level of bloodline as you. In the end, the girl was so angry that she ran away crying. It was said that she cried until she was out of breath and passed out. Top student, there's a beautiful girl in the first year of high school. I think she has a noble temperament. Maybe she can attract you. Do you want to take a look? Pei Jiang passed the phone to Yin Yao mischievously. Fupin Chinese Vertex. Chapter 13:13. It's this girl with a nice smile. Pretty, right? Yin Yao glanced at her and frowned slightly. Impeccable perfect looks. Could she be another member of the C clan? He didn't know how many members of the C clan were in this school. Anyway, he would meet them every day. He could tell at a glance that Fuya was a mermaid. She was a blue-tailed mermaid with a higher bloodline, but she didn't attract him. There were a few members of the Sea Clan in his class, but they were all of a lower level. He wasn't interested. Top student, what's wrong? Are you stunned? Yin Yarrow shifted his gaze away. He held a math book and continued reading. Seeing this, Pei Jiang took his phone back regretfully. If such a beautiful girl couldn't move Yin Yarrow, then who could attract this guy's attention? After Qiao Chen saw the photo on the phone, he thought that it was the little mermaid he was looking for. He didn't care about anything and rushed directly to grade 1 class 2. The students who passed by didn't understand why Qiao Chen, who had always been calm, was so anxious. After 5 minutes, Qiao Chen had already reached the floor of grade 1 class 2. He just needed to pass by one more classroom to reach grade 1 class 2. The girls standing in the corridor were a little surprised when they saw Qiao Chen. They all looked at him and screamed. But Qiao Chen didn't care about this. His heart was beating fast as he walked to the classroom door with vigorous steps. He stood at the door and glanced inside. He saw the little mermaid that couldn't be ignored. Even in a crowd, she was the most dazzling. Agwugwa, they meet again. They finally met. In this life, he would definitely trust her. He would definitely treat her well. He walked into the classroom step by step and approached Tangguo's seat. Tangguo had already found Qiao Chen. Seeing his appearance, she knew that he was reborn and not transmigrated. So, this was the murderer of the fish. Agwugwa. Qiao Chen had already walked in front of Tangguo and revealed a very bright and handsome smile. We meet again. Do you still remember me? Qiao Chen had always thought that the person who saved him in this life was still Agwugwa. Tangguo blinked. Who are you? My name is Qiao Chen. I'm the person you rescued from the sea, Qiao Chen said in a low voice. His gentle and affectionate manner caused the students in the class to scream. The new student had just arrived and already made the school hunk, Qiao Chen, fall for her. This was big news. Previously, she had heard that Qiao Chen had rushed somewhere. It turned out that he was in a hurry to see their Class A Guogua. Tangguo paused and said, You might be mistaken. I didn't save you. No, I won't be mistaken. You are my little mermaid. This sentence caused the surrounding girls to scream again. Qiao Chen believed that he could change the ending in this life. Their relationship would definitely be wonderful. Get lost. What do you mean by little mermaid? Tangguo frowned and her tone was very rude. How can a human with a low-level bloodline like you be worthy of me? After saying that, she raised her chin arrogantly and looked at Qiao Chen with contempt. You don't attract me. Classmate, please move aside. You're blocking my light. Agwugwa, you. Qiao Chen was stunned. He obviously didn't expect the other party's reaction to be like this. Your name is Qiao Chen, right? Yes. Classmate Qiao Chen, please don't disturb my studies. Fupin Chinese The Summit. Chapter 13-14. I have many suitors like you, but none of you are worthy of someone as noble as me. You're too low class. Give up early and find a girl who is worthy of you. System, fart. The host was going to be a demon. He even said something like you're too lowly, how can you match up to someone as noble as me? What a joke. How did she come up with this reason? Did her father know that she was so arrogant to say these words? That wasn't right. Didn't the king of the merfolk also say that his bloodline was very noble and that most human bloodlines were too low class? So, this was hereditary? Qiao Chen couldn't believe it. The result was like this. He wanted to say something, but Tangguo gave him a noble and cold look and stood there in a daze. She really didn't seem to know him. Did something go wrong? Did it cause her to forget about him? He didn't suspect that the little mermaid was reborn because if she was really reborn, could she still be so calm in the face of her murderer? He couldn't see the slightest hatred in her eyes. There was only coldness and unfamiliarity. It could be seen that she really didn't know him. Then can we get to know each other? Qiao Chen's smile remained unchanged. This attitude shocked the people in grade 1, class 2. Tang Guo glanced at him. Didn't you say you knew me and told me your name? Qiao Chen was speechless. He understood that she didn't seem to be interested in him at all. But it didn't matter. Since she came to this school, he had many opportunities to get familiar with her. He believed that with a sincere heart, he would definitely be able to move her. Then you have to remember that my name is Qiao Chen. I heard that you just transferred here today. I welcome you very much. Qiao Chen looked at Tang Guo reluctantly. Then I'll leave first. If you encounter any trouble, you can come to me. Remember, my name is Qiao Chen. Qiao Chen turned around and heard Tang Guo's words. I can't remember. Your bloodline is too low class. His footsteps froze, but he still maintained a smile and left. If she couldn't remember him once, he would appear a few more times. One day, his little mermaid would definitely remember him. In this lifetime, he would definitely make it up to her. Not long after, the news that Qiao Chen had taken a liking to the transfer student spread throughout the school. Fu Ya, who had always paid attention to Qiao Chen, also knew. She pursed her lips and sat in her seat. She stared at the many paper cranes in the wastebasket. Fu Ya, don't be angry. She's just a little vixen. Qiao Chen is just interested in her. He'll forget about her in a few days. Her deskmate comforted her. However, Fu Ya was unhappy because Qiao Chen did not like anyone. Why did he suddenly see a new transfer student? What kind of person could attract him to personally go to the other party's class and confess? At noon, accompany me to meet the first-year transfer student. She wanted to see who this person was to be able to attract Qiao Chen's attention. In the last class of the morning, Tang Guo received the news that Freya wanted to see her. She guessed that Freya hadn't seen her photo. Otherwise, she would have come looking for her. She agreed. After class, she went to the meeting place alone. Freya and a girl were waiting under a big tree. She also heard the girl comforting Freya and saying all kinds of unpleasant things. It wasn't until Tang Guo appeared in their field of vision that the girl hurriedly pulled Freya. Freya, she's here. Fupin Chinese Vertex. Chapter 13-15. Where are you? Fuya turned her head and saw Tang Guo standing 3 meters away. Her eyes widened. Ah Guo. Fuya, long time no see. I heard from Dad that you're also in this school, but I just transferred here today and didn't have time to inform you. Fuya was stunned. You're the transfer student. What's wrong, Fuya? Tang Guo walked up to Fuya and asked with a smile, is there a problem? Fuya's expression changed slightly. If Ah Guo was the transfer student, it was normal for Qiao Chen to treat her differently. That was because Ah Guo was the prettiest, highest ranking, and most noble of the mermaids. Fuya, you know each other? Fuya nodded and whispered to Jiang Jiwei, Jiwei, I have something to say to Ah Guo alone. Go eat first. I'll come find you later. 1 ton and 1 tea. Although Jiang Jiwei really wanted to hear what the two of them were talking about, seeing Fuya's expression, she didn't want to offend her, so she could only leave first. After Jiang Jiwei left, the two of them stood behind a tree. Fuya looked at Tang Guo and hesitated. In the end, she said, Ah Guo, Qiao Chen is the human I saved. I like him very much. I heard today that he confessed to you. I'm a little sad. Ah Guo, do you like him? Fuya asked. Her eyes were a little red. I don't know why. I tried so hard for a long time, but I couldn't get close to him. He seemed very distant with me and didn't want to get close to me. Fuya, you're thinking too much. I don't like humans with low-level bloodlines like him. Tang Guo pursed her lips, looking full of contempt and arrogance. I think that person called Qiao Chen is really strange. He said that he wanted to get to know me as soon as he came up. He's no different from those suitors in the past. He's also a low-level human. I'm so noble and beautiful. Is he worthy of me? Fuya blinked. System. The host's nostrils were almost pointing to the sky. Ah Guo, you really don't like Qiao Chen? Tang Guo raised her chin and said, do you think that if I liked him, I would reject him and say that he has a low-grade bloodline? And do you think that a mermaid with a golden tail needs to find a human with a mere lifespan of 100 years to be her mate? I'm looking for the strongest and noblest bloodline of the sea race. Agwugwa, our brother Archie, is the only one with the highest bloodline suitable for marriage in the mermaid clan. It's impossible for you too. Freya reminded him weakly. Her father had said that those who were related by blood were not allowed to be together. This came from human ethics. It meant that such a union was not good, and the bloodline left behind could be a big idiot. System. Ha 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 ha. However, there are other sea clans. If Gwugwa really wants to find a mate with a noble bloodline, she can actually show her face at the next sea clan convention. You're so beautiful and noble, you'll definitely attract many outstanding men. Freya thought for a moment and said, "It would be perfect if we can attract the silver dragons. In terms of race and bloodline, the silver dragons are the noblest among the oceanic tribes." Tangwa, system, ha ha ha. So, Agwugwa, you really don't have any thoughts about Qiao Chen? Freya looked at Tangwa eagerly. I really like Qiao Chen. No thoughts. Tangwa pursed her lips and smiled. But because I'm so noble and beautiful, he seems to be a little moved. Fupin Chinese Vertex. Chapter 13:16. But don't worry, I'm not interested in him at all. As for whether you can take him down, it'll depend on your ability. That's great. This was what Fu Yue wanted. If Agwugwa sincerely competed with her, she wouldn't win. Because Qiao Chen didn't seem to like her and even confessed to Agwugwa. Since Agwugwa didn't like Qiao Chen, she still had a chance. Fu Yue, let's make it clear first. If you don't succeed, don't blame me. Also, that guy is very annoying. If he provokes me, I won't give you face. I'll deal with him however I need to. Got it, Agwugwa. At least leave him alive, Fu Yue begged. If he provokes you again, you can beat him up. You can beat him up, but you must leave him alive. Anyway, she had divine power. As long as Qiao Chen didn't die, she could cure him. If Qiao Chen provoked Agwugwa, he would definitely be beaten up. In fact, it was good that Agwugwa beat him up. At that time, he would understand that Agwugwa, a golden-tailed mermaid with a noble bloodline, didn't like him. When Qiao Chen understood, he might be able to see her true feelings. When they were at the bottom of the sea, many people of the sea wanted to take liberties with Agwugwa, but they were all beaten half to death by her. Some went too far and were executed by their father. All right, for your sake, as long as he doesn't violate my taboos, I won't take his life. System. The main point is that he doesn't violate the host's big taboos. As for what the taboos were, it was up to this bad woman. Hee hee. The host's words were really full of traps. Fu Yue was very happy. Knowing that Tangwa didn't have any feelings for Qiao Chen, the nervousness and wariness in her heart disappeared. Qiao Chen was just an ordinary person. As long as Agwugwa didn't want to, he wouldn't dare to do anything to her. It was even better that Agwugwa didn't like Qiao Chen. She had plenty of time to move Qiao Chen, make him fall in love with her and understand her true feelings. Agwugwa, you just came to the human world. Do you want me to take you to a fun place? Fu Yue was very enthusiastic. Since Agwugwa didn't like Qiao Chen, she wouldn't be hostile to her. Tangwa certainly wouldn't agree. She didn't want to go shopping with an accomplice. Now, she was just waiting for this accomplice to kill Qiao Chen. Father has arranged many attendants for me, and the human world is quite convenient. She took out a mobile phone. If you want to buy anything, you can just shop online. Also, I don't like to go out. It's hot in the summer. Compared to going out, I prefer to soak in the swimming pool. All right then. Freya understood Tangwa very well. When she first came to the human world, she was also not used to the hot weather outside. Almost every night, he had to soak in the water for a few hours to relieve the dehydration of his body. Since you don't want to go out, I won't force you. Chapter 13:17. Fire seemed to be glowing. She smiled and said, When I brought him to the coast, I already liked him. I used to hear the love stories of the merfolk seniors, and I thought it was incredible. I didn't expect that I would also find the love I had been looking forward to for a long time. For him, I am willing to stay in the human world, get used to human life, and give up the vast and free sea. Agwugwa, this is love. You will understand when you meet him. Tangwa chuckled. If he doesn't like you all the time, and doesn't like you until he dies, even if you are honest in front of him, he still doesn't like you. What will you do then? Do you have to spend hundreds of years liking him and staying by his side? I heard that humans are easily moved. I don't believe that if I accompany him for a long time, he won't feel anything at all. Agwugwa, I really like him, so no matter how long it takes, as long as he is still alive, I am willing to wait for him. Even if he doesn't like you in the end? Fire's expression was a little sad. Even if he doesn't like me? Even if he likes someone else? Even if he likes someone else? Fire's voice lowered, sounding a little lost. Even if he hurts you? Tangwa asked with a smile. Fire was stunned. Agwugwa, I am a mermaid, and he is an ordinary human. I can kill him with one finger. He can't hurt me. You like him, and he likes someone else. Don't you feel hurt? Also, the merfolk are not without weaknesses. Can you guarantee that he won't use your weakness to hurt you? Fire said angrily, Agwugwa, Qiao Chen is not that kind of person. How can he hurt me? I like him so much. What if there really is such a day? Fire was at a loss for a moment. I don't know. I only know that I like him very much. Agwugwa, shouldn't love be paid for the sake of beauty? Tangwa said with a smile. Love is beautiful, and it is also paid for, but it needs both sides to be happy. Agwugwa, if you like someone who doesn't like you, what would you do? Fu Ye asked. She didn't believe that Agwugwa wasn't like that. What else can I do? Either I snatch it and make him like me, or I give up. Tangwa raised her chin slightly. I'm not happy with things that are forced. Fu Ye and Tangwa were separated. She was still a little confused. But when she saw Qiao Chen, she was no longer confused. She liked Qiao Chen. No matter what happened, she would still like Qiao Chen. Host, why are you telling her so much? Because I don't want to get too involved with her, especially between her and Qiao Chen. With Qiao Chen's personality, if he can't get close to me, he will definitely use Fuya. Tangwa happily took a bite of ice cream. Now that I'm a mermaid, I can eat whatever I want. System, hey, this dog of a host, does she really like eating ice cream that much? I'll say it here first. Chapter 1318. Host, you've already eaten 10 ice creams, take it easy. You're the school belle now, so you have to maintain your noble and cool image. Otherwise, if people find out that you secretly ate 10 ice creams in less than 20 minutes, your image will collapse. The school forum was full of big news that day, saying that the school belle ate 10 ice creams in one go, ruining your image and so on. I ate behind a tree, no one found out. Tangwa had just finished speaking when she suddenly felt a particularly cold gaze from a certain direction. She raised her head slightly and met the gaze of the owner of the cold gaze. System. Ha 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 ha, this is hilarious, no one found out? Isn't this a person? After Tangwa finished the ice cream in her hand, she threw the trash into the trash can next to her, took out a tissue, and elegantly wiped the corners of her mouth. From beginning to end, she proudly raised her neck, not losing her image at all. She ate ice cream as if she were eating some exotic delicacy. That cold and handsome young man with a cold aura was holding a book and sitting on a chair with lush vines on both sides. He raised his head slightly, his gaze fixed on her. Classmate. Tangwa walked in front of the young man in the white shirt and glanced at him. You've been looking at me for a full 3 minutes. Do you think I'm good looking? System. The host is so narcissistic, it must not be her nature, it must be the influence of the mermaid bloodline. In the next world, it will definitely return to normal. No. The young man coldly spat out these 2 words, not giving her any face at all, but his gaze did not move away from her body. For some reason, he added, although your appearance is perfect and impeccable. System. So, what he meant was that he did not notice the host because of her beauty, but it was undeniable that the host was really beautiful. Then, was he praising the host, or disdaining her? Then why? The young man stared at Tang Guo and said coldly, "You ate 10 ice creams in less than 20 minutes, and they were all large portions. You're the girl with the biggest appetite I've ever seen." System. Ha 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 ha, the biggest appetite? So, you've been watching me eat 20 ice creams with great interest. Are you attracted by my appetite? The cold-looking young man looked at Tang Guo. Why do you have so many questions? Because I have to ask if I don't understand. Since there's no one else here, I can only ask you. Tang Guo chose to sit aside and said with a smile, "Classmate, which grade are you in?" "Year 2. So you're my senior." Tang Guo continued to ask, "Senior, what's your name? Can you tell me?" "Yin Yao." Yin Yao also felt strange. Why did he tell her the truth? Tang Guo narrowed her eyes. Yin Yao, a name with a story behind it. Senior Yin Yao. Yin Yao pursed his lips. He felt that he shouldn't have told her his name so easily, so he looked a lot colder. His voice was even colder, sounding very unreasonable. "What's the matter?" "My name is Guo. Nice to meet you." Tang Guo reached out her hand and looked at him with a smile. "I ate so much, but you didn't laugh at me. It can be seen that you're a very gentlemanly person." Was he praised? Fupin Chinese Vertex. Chapter 13:19. Yin Yao wanted to refuse, but after staring at that fair hand, he finally reached out and shook it gently. Complimenting him for being a gentleman? He laughed. He only knew that many people were calling him cold and heartless behind his back. "Senior Yin Yao, are you reading a book?" "Yes." "A math book?" Yin Yao replied, "You do have a lot of questions." "Senior, are you good at math?" "Not bad." "What a coincidence, I'm good at math too." Tang Guo said with a smile, "I can understand the book in Senior's hand." Yin Yao was a little surprised. She should have just come out from the sea, right? She had a strong smell of the sea on her body, and she actually knew math. "Then take a look. Do you know how to solve this question?" Tang Guo moved closer, glanced at the math question, and began to answer it verbally for Yin Yao. Yin Yao did not expect that she actually knew how to solve it. He could not help but let her solve the most difficult question in the book. These questions, of course, were not difficult for Tang Guo. She solved them easily. At this moment, Tang Guo noticed that the way Yin Yao looked at her was different. There was even a hint of admiration in his eyes. "System, it's that simple?" Hey. Why did you get hooked by a few math questions? Be more reserved, or else the great host will be proud. When Tang Guo and Yin Yao were talking, the system had already guessed that this young man should be that guy. When it heard that the other party's name was Yin Yao, it did not have to doubt that it was him. He saw that the other party was actually holding a math book and reading. It could only be that guy. He found a pattern. As long as it was on campus, that guy would have a special interest in math. Maybe, this was to attract the great host, afraid that she would not recognize him. Time passed quickly, and it was time for the afternoon class. Yin Yao was shocked. He actually discussed math questions with this newcomer of the Sea clan for the whole afternoon. His face darkened, and he glanced coldly at Tang Guo. Tang Guo looked at him with a smile. "Senior, your gaze is so fierce." Yin Yao subconsciously put away the fierce look in his eyes and became expressionless. "It's time for class." "Senior Yin Yao." Yin Yao had his back to her, but he still stopped and asked, "Is there anything else? Let's discuss math problems together next time." Tang Guo waved her hand with a smile. She saw with her own eyes that Yin Yao paused for a moment, responded vaguely, and walked away quickly. Tang Guo leisurely walked back to the classroom and said to the system, "My character settings are going to collapse." "System, host, you're too mean. It wasn't easy for me to have a cold and aloof persona, but you're teasing me for fun. That guy must have cursed himself so that he won't dare to be rude to you. That's pretty smart. Host, what do you think his identity is?" When will we find out? He was dying of curiosity. Tang Guo said faintly, Tongzi, why don't we figure out our own identities first before getting tangled up with other people's identities? Anyway, no one knows who is who in the thousands of small worlds. Let's have fun first. System, trashy woman quotes Yin Yao, come up and solve this question. The math teacher shouted. But Yin Yao, who was always serious in class, was distracted. Student Yin Yao? The math teacher felt strange and shouted again. Yin Yao came back to his senses and stood up. Sorry, teacher, I was distracted. Classmate, student, please don't be so honest. Fupin Chinese Vertex. Chapter 1320. Yin Yao walked up to the podium and glanced at the question. He was slightly stunned. This was what he had discussed with the newcomer from the Sea clan today. He did not use his own method. He subconsciously wrote down the steps of the answer that the Sea clan had given him. After he finished writing, he looked at the simple and clear steps on the blackboard. He was a little confused as to why he could remember the steps that she said so clearly. She even subconsciously wrote down her method as soon as she came up. The steps that student Yin Yao used today seemed to be a little different from his previous methods. However, this method does exist and it is a very simple method. I think that students can learn from it. The math teacher was very satisfied. Yin Yao said subconsciously, someone told me about this method. I see. The math teacher did not delve into it. He was very happy to see students discussing how to solve questions. Then it is even more praiseworthy. Student Yin Yao also learned how to communicate and learn with other students. Yin Yao. He was not communicating with other students. He was a newcomer from the Sea clan. A narcissistic, arrogant, and especially gluttonous Sea clan. Of course, he did not bother to explain to these people. He put the chalk aside and walked back to his seat. Pei Jiang, who was sitting in front, turned around and said to him, Top student, you actually zoned out. However, you are a little better than Xiao Chen. He has been zoning out all day. Ever since he came back from grade 1 class 2, he has been absent-minded. If I had known, I would not have shown him the picture of the transfer student. Sigh, I didn't expect that Xiao Chen would be rejected when he confessed. Pei Jiang was talking to himself. He did not expect that a person with a noble bloodline like Yin Yao would give him an answer, especially during class. As long as he kept his voice down, the teacher would not care about him. Transfer student. Yin Yao caught the information and asked curiously. Pei Jiang was a little surprised. You actually replied to me. The sun really rose from the west. But that's right. That transfer student is really too beautiful. However, she is a little arrogant. Speaking of which, she is a little like you. Yin Yao listened and did not intend to stop Pei Jiang from continuing. Pei Jiang found a topic to talk about and muttered a lot. Finally, she whispered, Do you know why she rejected Xiao Chen? What is it? Yin Yao was also curious. What kind of reason would the little sea tribe use to reject a human? Pei Jiang glanced at Xiao Chen, who was still in a daze, and said in a low voice, She said that she has a noble bloodline and Xiao Chen is too lowly. He's not worthy of someone as noble and beautiful as her. Don't you think he's very similar to you? I'm afraid you're not the same kind. She's right. Yin Yao nodded in agreement. He did not specifically check what race the Sea clan was, but he could feel that the other party's aura was extremely powerful. Only a race with a noble bloodline could make him feel this way. Pei Jiang, hehe, they are indeed the same type. Xiao Chen was looking forward to school. That way, he could go and see his little mermaid again. When school was finally over, he grabbed his bag and ran all the way to Tang Guo's classroom. Yin Yao looked at Xiao Chen's back thoughtfully. He thought that a human with such a lowly bloodline would not be liked by the new Sea clan. She was right. Xiao Chen was not worthy of someone as noble and beautiful as her. Fupin Chinese Pinnacle. Chapter 1321. Although she was a little narcissistic, arrogant, and greedy, what she said was the truth. There was nothing wrong with it. As a member of the Sea clan with a noble bloodline, she should be like this. When Qiao Chen arrived at Tanggua's classroom, she was long gone. "Senior Qiao Chen, are you here to look for our Guogua?" A classmate who knew Qiao Chen asked enthusiastically. Qiao Chen was stunned and nodded. "Has she left?" "Our Guogua left school early. Her grades are excellent." After answering the teacher's questions, the teacher let her leave very quickly. "She left early?" "Yes, she said that she was really bored in the classroom and wanted to go home." The classmate who answered the question was also speechless. But when he thought of the teacher's questions, they couldn't even stump her. It was only right for her to enjoy such preferential treatment. Who asked them to be stupid and not as good as her grades? It would be good enough if they could answer half of the questions the teacher asked. Qiao Chen was a little disappointed and asked again, "Do you know where she lives?" "That I don't know. Our Guogua just transferred here today. We haven't gotten to know each other yet. Even if we get to know each other, we can't just ask her where she lives." Qiao Chen carried his bag and left in disappointment. When Fuya appeared beside Qiao Chen, she saw his sad expression and asked with concern, "Qiao Chen, what's wrong? Is there something you're unhappy about?" "It's nothing." Qiao Chen's attitude was very cold and he couldn't help but quicken his pace. "Qiao Chen, I've prepared a gift for you." Fuya's cheeks were a little red as she held a very beautifully packaged box. "This is my kind intention. I hope you can accept it." Qiao Chen didn't look at it. He didn't have any feelings for Fuya. If it wasn't for her, how could he not believe in his little mermaid and even cause her death? It was all because of Fuya's instigation and her lies that he missed the real Little Mermaid. Just as he was about to turn around and leave, he turned his head and looked at the box in Fuya's hand. "What's this?" "A paper crane. I heard that if you fold 1,000 paper cranes with your own heart, you can get a response from the person you like." "Qiao Chen, I like you. I hope you can see my sincerity." "You like me?" Qiao Chen smiled. He approached Fuya and lowered his head slightly. "What do you like about me? What kind of response do you want from me?" "To be with you." "If I like you, then I like you. Why do you ask so many questions?" "I like you. Naturally, I want to get your response and be with me." Freya did not think that there was anything wrong with her thoughts. She had traveled thousands of miles to the human world to adapt to the environment here. In order to pursue the beautiful love that she yearned for, she spent 100 years with the person she loved. "Fuya, you said you like me. What can you do for me?" Freya frowned. "What do you want me to do?" "Now, I do have something that I want you to do for me." Qiao Chen smiled happily and said in a low voice, "I want to know our Guogua's address." "You should know, right?" "Freya." Freya's originally happy expression immediately disappeared. The color on her face disappeared, and her fingers gripped the box so tightly that they turned a little white. "Qiao Chen, our Guogua told me that she doesn't like you. But I want to know our Guogua's address." "Freya, didn't you say that you like me?" Fupin Chinese Vertex. Chapter 1322. Then tell me where a Guogua's address is. Fuya pursed her lips, not knowing what to say for a moment. She knew that a Guogua was very attractive, and she also knew that Qiao Chen fell in love with a Guogua at first sight. Just like her feelings for Qiao Chen, she fell in love with him at first sight. However, a Guogua did not like Qiao Chen. "Qiao Chen, it's useless even if you get a Guogua's address. She doesn't like you. She has a noble bloodline and doesn't like you." Fuya's words were more direct. Qiao Chen knew that she was a mermaid, so he must also know a Guogua's identity. That was why he asked her for a Guogua's address. A Guogua had already told her everything. "But, Fuya, I only want her address now. Can you tell me?" Qiao Chen asked again. Seeing that Fuya was silent, he said, "It seems that you don't want to. Then I'd better investigate it myself." Seeing that Qiao Chen was about to leave, Fuya finally compromised. "Okay, I'll tell you. I'll go with you." Qiao Chen refused. No, with you around, I'm afraid that a guogua will misunderstand that I have something to do with you. Fuya, please remember that I don't like you. The only person I like is a guogua. Never, I will never like you. Seeing that Fuya's face was pale and she retreated, Qiao Chen left in satisfaction. In his previous life, she had caused a guogua's death. He was already very tolerant of her by not taking her life now. He did not want to waste time on Fuya. In this life, he only wanted to use all his time to treat a guogua well and make it up to her. Qiao Chen turned around and left, completely ignoring Fuya, who was holding the box of paper cranes with a disappointed and sad expression. Fuya had received too much love in her previous life that she did not deserve. In this life, he would never make a mistake. He would not be involved with Fuya anymore. He only came back for his little mermaid to resolve the misunderstanding. He would never hurt the cute and innocent little mermaid again. He hoped that Fuya would be sensible. Otherwise, he would not be able to resist and return all the pain that a guogua had suffered to her. He would let her experience the feeling of dying of thirst. Fuya took out her phone and called Tang Guo. Fuya. Ah guogua, I told Qiao Chen your address. I'm sorry, I really like him and can't reject his request. Tang Guo snickered. Then, if he wants you to die one day, will you die too? No, he wouldn't be so cruel. Even if he doesn't like me, he wouldn't want me to die. Alright, so what if he found my address? He can't come in. You're here to confirm whether I'll meet him or not, right? Freya's face turned red. Qiao Chen has no right to enter my house. Get as far away as you can. Freya heaved a sigh of relief. I'm sorry, guogua. If you don't apologize to me, please don't do it again. Fuya, remember, these are trivial matters. Don't tell him about the taboo of the mermaid clan. If you bring trouble to the mermaid clan because of you, you will be the sinner of the entire mermaid clan. I know that. I won't say it. Even if he threatens me with the fact that he doesn't like me, I won't say these things. Fuya defended herself and pleaded, if he offends you later, please don't be too harsh on him. It depends on my mood. Tang Guo hung up the phone. Not long after, she heard the attendant report that there was a young man outside who wanted to see her. Fupin Chinese Vertex. Chapter 1323. That person is called Qiao Chen. He's a thick-skinned and cunning human. He's trying to get his hands on such a noble and beautiful me. So, stop him and don't let him get close. If he dares to do anything extreme, beat him up. Understood, third princess. Qiao Chen waited outside the villa. Not long after, two tall and strong men came out. Miss A Guogua doesn't want to see you. Leave. I have something important to tell a guogua. I only want to see her once. The two attendants looked at each other and sneered. I already said I don't want to see her. Don't you understand human language? Whatever important matter has nothing to do with Miss A Guogua. She's not familiar with you either. Let me give you a word of advice. Leave quickly. She doesn't want to see me. I'll wait here. Qiao Chen said stubbornly. His persistence would definitely move the kind, pure and beautiful little mermaid. And whatever. The two attendants saw that he didn't dare to barge in, so they left after saying that. Then let him wait. There's no need to report anything related to him. Understood, third princess. Tang Guo carried a bowl of ice cream and went to the swimming pool. She went straight into the water. Her long and straight legs turned into a beautiful golden fish tail. She leaned against the side of the swimming pool and squinted her eyes to enjoy the ice cream. System, host, did you come here just to eat ice cream? So it's a little mermaid with a golden tail. Yin Yarrow lived in a room on the third floor of the villa. He looked out and saw the swimming pool in the villa next door. Today, he was reading by the window and inadvertently glanced out of the window. He saw the beautiful, noble and greedy little mermaid. And he didn't expect her to lean against the side of the swimming pool and eat ice cream while playing in the water. She was really greedy. Tang Guo also felt a special gaze. She looked up and met Yin Yao's eyes. She smiled at Yin Yao. Senior Yin Yao. Little Mermaid. Yin Yao narrowed his eyes and said coldly, I found out your identity. Then, Senior, are you going to threaten me with this? Please don't expose my identity, okay? I'll do whatever you say, okay? Yin Yao, system, you have no integrity. Yin Yao was shocked by her words. The book fell from the windowsill. Tang Guo pointed at the book that had fallen in midair. The book that was falling rapidly stopped in midair, then slowly rose until it landed in Yin Yao's hands. Senior Yin Yao, since I helped you pick up the book, please don't expose my identity. Yin Yao held the book in his hand, which still had the remnants of the Little Mermaid's divine power. If he only heard her pitiful voice, he would definitely think that she was really scared. But when he saw her fearless expression, a hint of a smile appeared on his cold face. You want me to not expose your identity just by picking up books? Little Mermaid, you're really naive. After threatening him, Yin Yao also felt very strange. He was actually threatening a Little Mermaid? It was completely inconceivable. Senior, what are you going to do? Tang Guo held her cheeks and licked her ice cream. She looked at Yin Yao pitifully. I said just now, as long as Senior doesn't expose my identity, I'll do whatever you say. When Yin Yao heard these sweet words, he almost dropped the book in his hand. Where did this Little Mermaid come from? Greedy, arrogant, and extremely thick-skinned. Fupin Chinese Vertex. Chapter 1324. Whatever he wanted to say, it had to be said from his words. Senior, if you have any requests, feel free to mention them. As Tang Guo looked at Yin Yao, she did not forget to dig into the ice cream in her hand and eat it. If Senior likes my beauty, it's not impossible. I'm indeed very beautiful. It's really a beautiful scenery when you raise me. However, I'm not an ordinary mermaid. It'll be very expensive to raise me. Yin Yao. When did he say that he wanted to raise her? The system was hypnotizing itself. Bloodline influence. This is bloodline influence. It's definitely not the host's nature. However, since Senior lives here, you should be very rich. Yin Yao's lips moved. He wanted to say that he did not agree to raise her, and he did not want to raise a greedy fish. But when the words reached his mouth, he could not say it. He felt that if he said this, there would be some terrible consequences. This kind of intuition was very scary. So he chose to shut up and avoid this topic. He coughed lightly and pretended to be cold. I'll let this matter go. Seeing that we're from the same school and are neighbors, I can help you keep the secret. Senior, you're really a good person. System, praise as if you don't care about your life. The good person card comes in stacks. But the good person card of the host is a really good person card. Yin Yao's ears were a little red. This Little Mermaid was not only greedy and proud, but also very good at coaxing people. The mouth of the mermaid was a ghost who lied to him. Everyone said that mermaids sang well. He felt that mermaids were even better at lying. Senior, what book are you reading? A math book. Do you want to discuss the problem? Yin Yao looked at her playing happily in the water and said, you should play in the water. I'll read it myself. But Senior promised to help me keep the secret. I feel bad. I'll discuss the math problem with you. Yin Yao, he really didn't. There was no apologetic expression on this Little Mermaid's face. Before he could refuse, Tang Guo had already jumped out of the water and directly towards his window. That golden tail did not turn into legs. In the blink of an eye, it landed on Yin Yao's window. She sat on the window, her beautiful fish tail swaying outside the window. She whispered, Senior, let's do the questions. System, dog. Host, your big cutie is going to be played to death. Yin Yao glanced at the waving golden tail expressionlessly. He had to admit that the golden tail was really pretty. Water droplets were still dripping from it, dripping onto the leaves below. Her long golden hair was a little wet, but it didn't affect her beauty at all. Bright red lips, beautiful clear eyes, perfect and impeccable facial features. With this kind of attitude, It was no wonder that the boys in the school were infatuated. Senior, do you want to do the questions? Do it. Yin Yao answered subconsciously. When he came to his senses, he was a little annoyed. Why did he have no principles in front of this fish? He subconsciously agreed to whatever she said. It was said that the singing of mermaids had the effect of bewitching people's hearts, but she clearly wasn't singing. Could it be that her realm was higher, and just by talking to him, he couldn't refuse? Next, the two of them really started to do the questions on the window. Their way of doing questions was different from other people's. They all had extraordinary intelligence, strong memory, and comprehension skills. They didn't need draft paper to do the questions at all. They only needed a math book. Fupin Chinese Vertex. Chapter 1325. Their way of answering questions was to take a look at the question and dictate the steps to answer it. Moreover, there was more than one way. System, I don't understand. What's so fun about doing questions? Isn't it more fun to fight demons? Senior, to thank you for keeping my secret, I'll do questions with you every day from now on. Yin Yao, there's no need. But he didn't say it. He silently watched her swing her golden tail and jump into the swimming pool. Not long after, she came out of the swimming pool and looked at his position. She smiled and said, "Good night, Senior." "Good night." After saying that, Yin Yao's face turned cold and he quickly closed the window. For the whole afternoon, he was led by the nose by a little mermaid. She even said that she would accompany him to do questions every day in the future to repay him for not revealing her secret. Was she afraid of being exposed? Was it because the people sent by the Mermaid King couldn't protect her? Beautiful mermaids were the best at lying. Late at night, Qiao Chen was still waiting outside the villa area. Tang Guo had completely forgotten about this matter. Even if she remembered, she wouldn't care about Qiao Chen at all. The moon was out, but Qiao Chen was still waiting there. His eyes turned from hope to gloominess. What had happened that made his little mermaid forget that she had saved him? Qiao Chen. Fu Yue's voice sounded from behind. A Guogua won't see you. She has a noble bloodline and won't take a fancy to an ordinary human. Then why do you like me? Because I like you. Qiao Chen glanced at her and said coldly, "But I don't like you." "I know. Then why aren't you leaving?" Fu Yue suppressed the sadness in her heart. "I was afraid that something would happen to you, so I came to take a look." "Qiao Chen, why don't you like me?" "If I don't like you, I don't like you. There's no reason." Fu Yue pursed her lips and said, "Just like if I like you, I like you. There's no need for a reason, right?" Qiao Chen didn't say anything. In his previous life, he and Fu Yue, except for when he was about to die, it could be said that it was a life of perfect happiness. Why did she cruelly tell him the truth at the end? It made him understand that all the happiness was just an illusion. She had cheated and exchanged a Guogua's life for everything. "Fuya, it's impossible between us." "It's impossible between you and Guogua," Freya said. "She doesn't like you." Qiao Chen smiled. "Then I'll wait and work hard. One day, she'll see me. Then I'll wait and work hard. One day, you'll see me." Qiao Chen sneered and turned to leave. "Fuya, that's impossible." "Qiao Chen, nothing is impossible in this world. Your life is only 100 years old. I don't believe that I won't be able to leave a shadow in your heart after 100 years. Qiao Chen thought to himself, "No way." He and Freya had already been together for a lifetime. In her previous life, when he was about to die and she told him the truth, everything between them turned into bubbles and ceased to exist. In this life, it was even more impossible. For the sake of his previous life, as long as she didn't go overboard, he wouldn't pursue the matter. Qiao Chen walked in front while Fu Yue followed behind. Only after watching him go home did Fu Yue return to her place. In order to be closer to Qiao Chen, she didn't choose to live in the villa area arranged by the Mermaid King. Instead, she lived not far from the Qiao family. Nothing is impossible. You can wait, And so can I. Fupin Chinese vertex. Chapter 1326. Good morning, Senior. Yin Yarrow looked at the little mermaid who was riding a bicycle to his side. When she greeted him with a bright smile, she almost lost her bearings. Where's your driver? I don't want to take a car. I want to ride a bicycle. Like Senior, riding a bicycle is actually good for exercise. Yin Yarrow stopped talking. He rode the bike expressionlessly towards the school. Lying fish. He didn't even notice that the speed of the bicycle had slowed down a lot today. He even checked whether the fish was following him from time to time. Senior, you can actually ride faster. Don't worry about me. I can keep up. If you continue to walk slowly, you will be late. Tang Guo reminded him kindly. Of course, if Senior wants to spend more time with me along the way, it's okay to be late. After saying that, Yin Yarrow's bicycle seemed to be equipped with 2 electric wheels. It ran very fast and in the blink of an eye, it was out. The system laughed like crazy. No matter what kind of character this fellow had, after meeting its great host, it would collapse sooner or later. Senior, let's go home together in the afternoon. Yin Yarrow pursed his lips and carried his bag to his teaching building. No, he refused. He didn't want to go home with this gluttonous fish, talkative fish, arrogant fish, lying fish. You'll finish school early, right? Yin Yarrow stopped and turned back. I'll stay a little longer. Don't wait for me. It's okay. Tang Guo smiled. If Senior doesn't mind, I can accompany you to do exercises in school. System, who can withstand such flirting? Our times are different, Yin Yarrow said. He didn't want to be led by the nose by this fish. These 2 days, he kept feeling that something was a little strange. The problem must be with this fish. If we can meet in the afternoon, we'll go home together. If not, we'll go home separately. Okay, I'll listen to Senior. Yin Yarrow breathed a sigh of relief. Then he would leave early. At noon, Tang Guo was eating in the cafeteria. She didn't know when Xiao Chen had arrived and sat opposite her. She glanced at him and continued to eat. After a while, Fu Yue also came and greeted, a guogua. Fuya. Millimeter Fu Yue sat down beside Xiao Chen. When she saw that Tang Guo did not care about Xiao Chen at all, she heaved a sigh of relief. Guo really did not like Xiao Chen. Are you free this weekend? Xiao Chen asked when he saw that Tang Guo was almost done eating. Tang Guo glanced at him contemptuously. I'm not free. Then she stood up and turned to leave. Xiao Chen was very distressed. He did not know what to do to please the little mermaid. Fuya. Are you going to ask me how to make guogua like you? Fuya was actually not stupid. Xiao Chen, I can't help you. There are many people who want to please her, but not many succeed. They even make her hate them. Is there anything she likes? Jewels, beautiful dresses, she likes them all. After Fu Yue finished speaking, she looked at Xiao Chen's thoughtful expression and her eyes dimmed. She envied a guogua for being able to be liked by Xiao Chen, but she did not think that there was anything wrong with a guogua not liking Xiao Chen. Because a guogua was a golden-tailed mermaid with a noble bloodline, it was normal for her to look down on humans with ordinary bloodlines. A guogua did not know what love was, so she cared about bloodline and race. She selfishly hoped that even if a guogua understood love, this person would not be Xiao Chen. Fupin Chinese vertex. Chapter 1327. When Xiao Chen got the news, he was already preparing what kind of beautiful jewelry or dresses to buy for Tang Guo. Fu Yue saw through his thoughts and felt very sad. They met first. Why did Xiao Chen fall in love with our guogua at first sight? What she didn't say was that our guogua was the daughter of the Mermaid King. What kind of gems did she not have? The priceless gems of humans were just a broken stone in front of the mermaid clan. Many of our guogua's dresses were inlaid with all kinds of rare gems. Each one was priceless. Even she had a lot of such gems. Although they were not as good as our guogua's, they were richer than most members of the mermaid clan. Yin Yarrow had already decided to leave early today. After a class in the afternoon, he went to the office to find the teacher who taught the class in the afternoon. He said that he would leave early today. In 10 minutes, he successfully passed. Although there was no expression on his face, he was still in a good mood. When he walked to the school gate, he saw a girl riding a bicycle, holding 2 ice creams and waiting for him with a smile. "Senior, aren't we fated to meet? Let's go." Since they met, Yin Yarrow was not the kind of person who pretended to avoid. Moreover, he didn't dislike getting along with her. But he felt that he was very strange recently. He actually always listened to a fish. This really damaged his dignity. If the members of the clan knew, he didn't know how they would talk about him behind his back. Of course, he didn't care. What he cared about was what method this fish used to make him follow her ideas. So he wanted to use the free time to investigate and find out the reason. "Senior, do you want some?" Tang Guo handed Yin Yarrow an ice cream. Seeing her greedy look, Yin Yarrow quickly shook his head. "You eat it. You eat it. I have to hold the ice cream in one hand and control the direction with the other. It's not very convenient." "Then I'll get one for you. You eat it and then eat the other one," Yin Yarrow blurted out without thinking. "Yin Yarrow. System, ha 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 ha." His face was full of disdain, but his heart was still very honest. This guy was ruthless enough to put such a restriction on himself. "Thank you, senior." This sweet and greasy voice gave Yin Yarrow an indescribable feeling in his heart. He put his backpack into the basket of the bicycle. He held her ice cream in one hand and steered the bicycle with the other. The two of them rode in the same direction. He felt that the ice cream was going to melt soon, so he used his god power to keep the ice cream from melting. He must be crazy. This fish must be poisonous. He actually used his divine power to help her freeze ice cream. She must have poisoned him. When he had the chance, he would definitely investigate what kind of poison she had given him. This was a greedy, talkative, proud, lying, and sinister fish. On the way, Tang Guo had already finished her ice cream. She reached out her hand with a smile. "Senior, thank you so much." Yin Yarrow passed the ice cream to her. "Senior, the ice cream you're holding didn't melt. It's clear that you have a good character." These words of praise really came out of Tang Guo's mouth. Yin Yarrow didn't know whether to laugh or cry. What kind of fish was this? He didn't believe that she didn't know that he was also a member of the Sea Clan. He used his god power so obviously, but she pretended to be blind. She even said that he had a good character. But what the hell was a little happy in her heart? Fupin Chinese Vertex. Chapter 1328. Both of them left school early and stayed at home to do questions together. Xiao Chen went to look for Tang Guo early today, but was told that she had already left. He was very disappointed. At this moment, Tang Guo was sitting on Yin Yarrow's window, waving her golden fish tail and doing questions with him. The difference was that there was a big bucket of water and a lot of ice cream beside them. Tang Guo would occasionally put her golden tail into the bucket to play with the water, and then swing it out of the window. It was very beautiful. Sometimes, looking at that beautiful little tail, all of Yin Yarrow's attention would be attracted by that little tail. "Senior, so you like ice cream too? You bought so much at home," Tang Guo said. Yin Yarrow's face darkened. That's right, he didn't eat ice cream. Why did he ask his servant to buy more ice cream for him when he left in the morning? This fish must be poisonous. "Senior, I really like your bucket of water." Yin Yarrow, do questions. "Okay, do questions." For the next few days, both of them got along like this. Once they came back, they would do questions by the window. Yin Yarrow held a math book, and Tang Guo sat on the windowsill, leaning against the wall, putting her golden fish tail into the bucket of water. She held the ice cream in her hand, eating it while solving the questions. When it was 10 o'clock, she would jump into the swimming pool from the window, swim for a while, and then go to sleep. On the second day, Yin Yarrow was used to going to school with her, coming back from school, and doing questions. "Yin Yarrow, you might not believe it, but this is how I started my fish rearing career, and it's been my whole life. Today, after school, Yin Yarrow came to the school gate as usual. He thought he would see the little mermaid eating 2 ice creams, but she wasn't there. He furrowed his brows in discomfort and wondered where she had gone. What was even scarier was that he didn't plan to go home immediately. Instead, he took out his phone and prepared to call her. Then, he realized that he didn't ask for her phone number. He stood there for a minute, then pushed the bicycle into the school. He parked his bicycle and went to Tangua's class, grade 2 class 1. This was also the first time he went to her class. Just as he reached the corridor of grade 2, he heard Xiao Chen's voice. "Agwugwa, do you like these?" Yin Yarrow stood still and looked at Xiao Chen, who was holding a bouquet of bright red roses. There was also a box in his hand. Inside the box, there was a very beautiful gemstone. He walked over. He was already very outstanding. He was hailed as the school hunk by the girls in this school. The moment he appeared, there were already girls who screamed at him. Xiao Chen naturally noticed it too, but he didn't think that Yin Yarrow was here for Tangua, so he ignored it. Yin Yarrow walked directly to the classroom door. There were a few boys around. They were Xiao Chen's people. They were all holding bright and beautiful flowers. They were here to cheer for Xiao Chen. Yin Yarrow glanced at them disdainfully. How could these ordinary humans with low bloodlines be worthy of being Agwugwa's spouse? Dream on. Agwugwa. Yin Yarrow stood at the door and shouted coldly, "Let's go home." He didn't know how much of an impact these 2 sentences would have on the people around him. Agwugwa, let's go home. School hunk Yin Yarrow, don't you know that these 2 sentences contain a lot of information? Fupin Chinese vertex. Chapter 1329. How could a mere Xiao Chen and a few others possibly stop Tangua? She didn't deal with them immediately because she wanted to see if Yin Yarrow would come looking for her. It seemed that he had a deep impression of her through their friendly interactions. "Senior, wait for me. I'll leave right away." Tangua picked up her bag and moved out of the classroom. Xiao Chen looked at Yin Yarrow in disbelief. He couldn't understand when this cold young man got involved with Tangua. "Yin Yarrow, what do you mean?" Xiao Chen said with a gloomy face. "You know I like Agwugwa, but you still, am I related to you? You're a human with a low bloodline." Yin Yarrow said with contempt. "So what if you like Agwugwa? You know I like Agwugwa, but you still came to provoke her." Xiao Chen didn't even want to think about it. No matter what, they were classmates. Their relationship should be better than others. Yin Yarrow raised his eyebrows slightly. He looked extremely cold. He didn't look like when he was facing Tangua. At this moment, even if he was wearing a clean white shirt, the pressure and coldness emitted from his body was still unbearable. "Agwugwa, let's go." Yin Yarrow looked away and turned his slightly gentle gaze to Tangua. Tangua smiled and nodded quickly. She was about to leave the classroom. Xiao Chen walked quickly to the door. "Agwugwa, give me a chance." "Go away." Tangua stopped smiling. "Xiao Chen, don't be so shameless. I said I don't like you. Don't do such annoying things." "Agwugwa, I really like you." Tangua sneered. "You like me, so I have to agree. What kind of logic is that? Move. How am I not better than Yin Yarrow?" Tangua heard his question and her expression turned serious. "You're not better than me in any way. Are you satisfied?" "Agwugwa, you must have forgotten what happened between us." Xiao Chen said stubbornly, "How could you forget? You were the one who saved me on the shore." "Agwugwa, how could you forget me? Senior, can you help me with my bag?" Tangua handed her bag to Yin Yarrow with a smile. Yin Yarrow didn't take it. Instead, he asked, "What do you want?" "What am I going to do?" "Of course I'm going to beat him up. Since he doesn't understand human language, I can only beat him up." This kind of thick-skinned person was really something that he had seen before. Did he think that he could change everything and make up for his mistakes just because he was reborn? Dream on. Beat him up. Yin Yarrow was a little surprised. This fish had a unique way of thinking. However, it was good to give him a beating. This human with a low-level bloodline couldn't understand human language at all. It was a good idea to beat him up. He handed his backpack to Tang Guo. "Let me do it." The onlooking students were speechless. Where was Yin Yarrow, the legendary untouchable flower, the cold-blooded and ruthless school hunk who was especially mean to little girls? He actually wanted to help a Guoguo beat up Qiao Chen. This must be a dream. However, little stars appeared in the eyes of the girls. They were all thinking in their hearts, could it be that Yin Yarrow also liked a Guoguo? They weren't jealous anymore. Ever since they were hurt by Yin Yarrow, they especially hoped that one day Yin Yarrow would fall into the hands of a girl and become a loyal dog. It seemed that their wish was about to come true. Tang Guo could already feel the friendly and admiring gazes of the girls around her. "Tongzi, shouldn't these girls be jealous?" "No, dear host, it's because Yin Yarrow had hurt them too deeply." Fupin Chinese Vertex. Chapter 1330. They only hope that you can take Yin Yarrow down quickly. They really want to see how obedient and affectionate Yin Yarrow is to a girl. Tang Guo was shocked. So what exactly did Yin Yarrow do in the past? The system muttered and told Tang Guo what Yin Yarrow did. Of course, this was what he heard secretly in school. Intermittently, he still gave a rough idea of what happened. Tang Guo almost laughed to death after hearing it. This fellow was simply too adorable. At this moment, Qiao Chen's scream attracted Tang Guo's attention. She looked up and saw Yin Yarrow standing in front of Qiao Chen, punching him in the stomach. Qiao Chen couldn't take a single punch. He curled up on the ground and looked at the cold and ruthless young man with hatred. "I won't give up. No matter how you hit me, I won't give up on a Guoguo." Yin Yarrow wasn't angry. He had seen too many people who said such harsh words. If Qiao Chen really dared to do anything, he could turn him into ashes with a flick of his finger. "A Guoguo doesn't like you. Don't appear in front of her shamelessly in the future. You don't deserve the noble and beautiful her," Yin Yarrow said seriously and coldly. Tang Guo, the surrounding students. Did he have to be so direct? Couldn't he use another reason? Qiao Chen opened his eyes and the veins on his forehead popped out. He gritted his teeth and asked, "Why?" He was reborn. God gave him a chance to be reborn so that he could change his fate. "She doesn't like you. What right do you have to control me?" Qiao Chen sneered. "Who are you to her? One day, I'll move a Guoguo's heart and she'll come back to me." Yin Yarrow frowned slightly. At this moment, Fu Yai's panicked voice sounded. "Yin Yarrow, please have mercy. I'll take Qiao Chen away immediately." Although Fu Yai didn't know Yin Yarrow's real identity, she knew that he must be from a very powerful clan in the Sea Clan. Qiao Chen would only be at a disadvantage in his hands. Moreover, this powerful member of the Sea tribe seemed to be interested in Guoguo. She was both happy and worried. She supported the pale Qiao Chen. "Qiao Chen, let's go. You can't afford to offend him." Qiao Chen was indignant, but he knew that there was no other way today. He could only let Fu Yai support him and leave. "Yin Yarrow, I won't give up. A Guoguo, you will understand my sincerity one day." System, no, she doesn't understand. You don't have any sincerity at all. You only have selfishness in your bones. Ever since that time, Qiao Chen didn't look for Tang Guo again. However, every time he saw Tang Guo, the other party would reveal a determined look. "Senior, Qiao Chen hates you," Tang Guo said with a smile on her face. She held the steering handle with one hand and ate an ice cream with the other. Yin Yarrow still threw his school bag into the basket of the carriage. With one hand, he led the way while the other hand held an unopened ice cream. He even used his divine power to freeze it so that it would not melt due to the summer temperature. "So what?" The youth's voice was still cold, but there was a hint of something in it that didn't exist when he was talking to other people. Tang Guo tilted her head and said seriously, "He will take revenge on you." Yin Yarrow thought that this fish was going to say something. He didn't expect that it would say that Xiao Chen wanted to take revenge on him. Baijio, Nu, Nob, 01C, Quick Wear, supporting female lead, calm down claw peak. Chapter 1331. The corner of the young man's lips curled up slightly, adding some color to his cold face. Even though it was a hot summer day, he still looked so cold. However, his curved lips and smiling eyes made his body seem a little warmer. Then I'll wait. Senior. Tang Guo shouted, give me the other one, I've finished it. Yin Yao. This fish is a killjoy. He glanced at the ice cream in his hand, and saw that she was looking at the ice cream in his hand seriously. He helped her remove the wrapping paper before passing the ice cream to her. Eat. Senior, you're such a gentle and considerate person, why are you still single until now? Yin Yao. This talkative fish. Because, I know, it's because the opposite sex around you are too low class, they can't attract you and can't resonate with you, right? Tang Guo rode the bike slowly, took a bite of the ice cream, and said with a smile, Senior Yin Yao, you have such high taste and high bloodline, there are very few opposite sex in this world that can match up to you. Yin Yao. This ass-kissing fish. Yin Yao felt that he couldn't always be led by the nose by a fish, it was too damaging to his dignity. She was the one asking questions every time, and he didn't have the habit of lying. Whatever she asked, he would tell her the truth. So, he decided to have the right to speak in his hands. Then, he asked, you're a fish, why do you eat so much, won't you die from overeating? System. Ahahaha. This guy, no wonder he's single. Why can't I eat more fish? I want to eat more, my digestion is quite good, I won't die from overeating. Tang Guo answered according to the question. Yin Yao asked again, why do you like to eat ice cream so much? Because it's sweet. Tang Guo said without thinking, when you eat it, when it melts in your stomach, it's all sweet, when it's sweet, you'll be happy. Yin Yao didn't expect this answer. But he still felt strange, in this world, there are many foods sweeter than ice cream. For example, chocolate, sugar, cream. Why do you only eat ice cream? Because I think ice cream is the sweetest. When she answered the question with a smile, Yin Yao saw the most beautiful smile on her perfect face. She seemed to be telling the truth. So why is ice cream sweeter than, coincidentally, sugar and cream? Since you like it so much, I have a lot of it at home. If you want to eat it, come and get it. Yin Yao said without thinking. He was also infected by her sweet smile. At that time, his mind went blank. She suddenly remembered that she had prepared several freezers of ice cream at home. He didn't know why he ordered the attendant to buy a large freezer and ice cream. He bought a lot of ice cream in one go. There was a room filled with ice cream. Senior, you're so nice. Since you're so generous, I won't stand on ceremony. Yin Yao came to his senses in an instant. He looked a little upset. What did he just say? Asking her to go to his house to get ice cream? This fish must have cultivated some kind of illusionary technique to make him do something that didn't make sense. But since he said it, he couldn't go back on his words. Thinking about the ice cream in the freezers at home, it would be a waste to leave it there, he might as well let this fish eat it. After eating it, he would ask someone to throw the freezers out and never buy ice cream again. Baijio, Nu, Nob, 01C, Quick Wear, supporting female lead, calm down claw peak. Chapter 1332. Ever since Xiao Chen's confession failed, he stopped trying to get close to Tang Guo. However, he would still occasionally appear in front of Tang Guo. He would only look at her affectionately from afar and would not go near her. Everyone in the school knew that Xiao Chen was infatuated with Guo Guo. Because Yin Yao beat Xiao Chen up in public, everyone in the school thought that both Xiao Chen and Yin Yao were in love with Guo Guo. In the end, Yin Yao seemed to have won. Every day, they would see Yin Yao waiting for Guo Guo outside the classroom of grade 2 after school. The most shocking thing was that he was holding 2 ice creams in his hands. At first, they thought that the two of them would eat one each. Later, they accidentally saw the two of them riding away on a bicycle. Only then did they know that the two ice creams were Agwagwas. When she was eating the first one, Yin Yarrow was holding the other one. When she was done, she took the second one from him. So, Yin Yarrow and Agwagwa were in love. Many girls sympathized with Qiao Chen's unrequited love. They all hoped that he would forget Agwagwa and be with the beautiful and devoted Fu Ya. Even though she knew that Qiao Chen was infatuated with Tang Guo, Fu Ya did not change her feelings for Qiao Chen. Every day, she would wait for Qiao Chen after school and accompany him home. Every time, she would wait outside the Qiao family's house early and go to school with Qiao Chen. When Qiao Chen was injured in the physical education class, Fu Ya was always the first to arrive. Qiao Chen did not have time to eat lunch and Fu Ya was the first to send it to him. As long as anything happened to Qiao Chen, Fu Ya would appear by his side immediately. Everyone in the school felt that Fu Ya would get Qiao Chen's heart one day. Qiao Chen would forget Agwagwa and live happily with Fu Ya. Aren't you with Qiao Chen every day? You have time to come here today? Tang Guo asked curiously when she saw Fu Ya walking in. She did not expect Fu Ya to be so devoted to Qiao Chen, this scumbag. It was no wonder that she told Qiao Chen such an important weakness of the mermaid family in her previous life. This was a classic case of lovey-dovey brain. For the sake of the person he liked, he would pour his heart out and not hesitate to hurt himself and others. If Qiao Chen's life was in danger, Fu Ya would probably be willing to exchange her life for his without any regrets. Qiao Chen went to his father's company, so I couldn't follow him anymore. I heard that he is preparing to take over the company while studying. He's really amazing. Recently, he's come up with a lot of useful plans and new ideas for their company. His father values him a lot. System: I've reincarnated, little girl. I'm an old man who has lived for more than 90 years. I have a lot of life experience. How could I not have a plan? Then what are you doing here? I'm here to see you, Guogua. I haven't had a good chat with you since you came to the human world. Freya said, Agwagwa, I think we are a little distant. You used to like to share a lot of interesting things about me. Don't we go to school every day? What I know, you know as well. Alright, let's not talk about this. This time, I actually want to share a happy thing with you. Fu Ya smiled innocently. Guogua, do you know? I feel that Qiao Chen's attitude towards me is a little different now. Climax. You're tuning in to the Dreamy Chapters YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.